Okay. I think I start this time.
I don't have my notebook with me.
Shoot. What should we do? Should I pull it up on SoundCloud and listen to the first?
You know what? I'm going to just graciously let you start.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
Thank you. I like to be a nice person like that.
Starting the new year off right.
That's right.
Yeah, it's your resolution to stop being so mean to me all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, if y'all have missed all of Megan's burns on me, you should listen to our last year of podcast.
I'm terribly mean.
It's been a march of cruelty for me. Well, welcome to Why Did You Read That?
Brand new year.
Yeah, 2026.
Yeah.
The podcast about why did you read that you read.
Yep.
Starring Meagan.
And Peter.
And Peter, which is me.
Correct.
So we each bring some books, but we don't really talk about the premise anymore. We're just going to get into it.
That's right.
But first, Meagan has a joke for me, I assume.
I do.
Okay.
What do you get when you cross a turtle with a porcupine?
A porcupine? I think I know. I wish I knew how to do a drum roll sound effect.
Okay.
Hold on. Applause. I'm going to get ready to push applause, maybe.
Okay.
A slow poke.
Well done. Well done.
That really goes on.
I was going to say, I think that's a bit too long. But.
Yeah. Even I was the one who got the joke, and even I was like, nah. Now I feel like you guys are not just humoring me, but you're what's the word?
Mocking me.
Yeah. Thank you. What's the word I'm looking for? The thing that people do to me all the time.
All the time. Please.
So I have my 4 books.
I'm ready.
I have 1 novel.
Whoa.
And 3 graphic novels. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I'm losing my voice. 2 minutes in. This is going great. My first book is called When We Were Real by When We Were Real by a mutual favorite of ours, Daryl Gregory.
Oh, yay.
Basic premise. We are living in a simulation, and someone has made a tour bus company that takes people on a tour of what they call impossibles, which are kind of like weird glitches in the simulation.
All right.
And we follow many a character on their journey through that world.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Next is Absolute Batman Volume 1, The Zoo by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. It's one of 3 Absolute DC comics. That's kind of their new, I don't know if it's a relaunch or a parallel series that they're doing with all their stuff, but it's kind of a new Batman book.
Okay.
All new beginning, and there's some significant differences between this Batman and the one you're familiar with.
Okay.
Kind of their whole ad campaign for these Absolute series is like, no bank account, no bat cave, all justice, or it's something like that.
Okay.
The next one is Absolute Wonder Woman Volume 1.
All right.
The Last Amazon by Kelly Thompson. Similar premise to Batman. I would say Wonder Woman's origin story may deviate the most from some of the others.
So is her original origin story like the movie, essentially?
I don't remember what it was in the movie.
She, like a World War I pilot, crash lands on Themyscira, and she ends up leaving the island to try and defeat the God of War.
Similar.
Okay.
The God of War part is probably different. I think that was the part of the movie that, if my memory serves, seemed like the part where they were like, I mean, we got to have her, she can't just be like fighting German guys. That seems a little easy. Right? Like they needed to put something in there that was a legitimate threat. Although I always think they talk about that like with Superman movies, right? They're like, well, what's he going to do? He needs to fight something that's roughly his equal.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'm like, I don't know, man. He just like beat up a bunch of guys. Like, who cares?
I did enjoy watching Wonder Woman fight, the whatever they were called before they were Nazis.
Yeah.
The
Germans.
Yeah, there's a word, but anyway, it escapes me.
The precursors.
Sure.
And then the last one is Absolute Superman, Volume 1, Last Dust of Krypton by Jason Aaron. Again, it's like a Superman origin story. It's a little bit different from, the Superman we all know and love, but also at the same time quite recognizable for, super fans and very casual fans alike.
Okay.
So those are my books.
You have a theme.
Yeah.
Almost a whole
quartet there.
Yeah.
If I thought this out a little bit more, I would have tried to get in a fourth. I think there's like an Absolute Martian Manhunter out, and I think there's a couple others, but these are the three. Well, you brought me actually these three several months ago, and then I read one of them and was like real into it. So then I tore through the others as well.
Okay, nice. All right. Well, I, as a fellow Daryl Gregory fan, really want to hear about When We Were Real.
All right. So When We Were Real is it takes place in a world that is basically our world, except it's indisputably proven that we are in a simulation.
Okay.
Created by someone or something. That part is unclear. But I think like the important thing here is like the book begins and society is at a point where this has been true for several years. It's indisputable to a wide degree. The only people who dispute it are like wacky conspiracy theory people. But they seem to be pretty fringy.
Okay.
Like, it's I don't know. Art Bell, is that a reference people will know?
I don't.
Oh, he was like an AM radio guy, and people would call in and they talked a lot about UFOs and stuff like that. Or it's like a UFO person, a hardcore, or like a
big conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
person.
Or like aliens built the pyramids or something is the level of, that's the kind of credence that I think, no, it's not a simulation has.
Okay.
And I don't want to talk too much about how it's laid out in the book, but I think any reader of the book would be like, okay, they're in a simulation. It's not a question in the book. It's not like, are we? Aren't we? It's like, we definitely are.
Okay.
However, life, other than knowing that we're in a simulation, life is exactly the same. Like people still,
pay their taxes, go to work.
Yeah. There's like a period that happened before the book begins of like unrest because, people were like, what's the meaning of life or whatever. And then, but it kind of all just settled back down because everyone was like, well, I do still have to eat food or I will die. So I guess I'll go to work today. And like we've kind of trundled on. So the book takes place among a lot of characters. I think there's probably about 10-ish characters, which not a turn on for me because I'm not good at keeping track of characters, but he does a good job of kind of giving each character enough spotlight so that you know who they are or kind of what they're about without necessarily having to spend a ton of time with each character. It's not equal. There's kind of some main-ish characters and then some other people. And all of the people are on a tour bus of the Impossible. So there's like, I don't know how many they go to, like 7 or something. And it's, one of them is like a giant tornado that doesn't actually move. It's like completely static. And it's made out of a material that they cannot figure out what it is.
So it's like program bugs.
Kind of, yeah, except the Impossibles were put there by the architects of the simulation to help prove that it's a simulation.
Ah, okay.
Because once they...
So they're not glitches. They're a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But so, they put these in intentionally as like, hey, guys, you're in a simulation. We'll prove it to you.
Right.
And so the cast of characters includes like, our main characters are a guy who has a brain tumor that has recurred, which they call Brian because of a misprint on a medical form that he had. And his friend, who is a comic book writer, and is kind of trying to cheer him up by taking him on this thing. There's a weird sort of aloof person who spends the whole time reading a book. There's a conspiracy theory podcaster guy and his teenage son who's not as into the conspiracy side, but is, his dad's like forcing him to film him and stuff. There's a very pregnant young influencer lady who, and they kind of talk about some of the different beliefs people have about the simulation. So like there's a group of octogenarians, and they are what they call groundhoggers, who think that like maybe every day is the same and you're living the same day every time and you just don't know it because they're like, why would you waste all the resources making different days? Because we don't even know the difference, And then there's like people who believe, the influencer lady believes like the way out of the simulation is to be interesting. Because if you're interesting, then the people running the simulation will take notice of you, and that somehow will like ensure that something. It's, a lot of this is very vague.
Sure.
There's also on the trip 2 nuns and a rabbi, which sounds like the start of a joke.
Yep.
And they do go to a bar at one point. But it adds an interesting dimension because it's kind of about like, well, what role does religion serve in this world that now we know is very different from.
Right.
Does it change the game? Does it not? Because it's like, well, maybe we're just one layer deep, but everything else is exactly the same. Who knows? So that's some of the characters that are on the tour. There's a surly-ish bus driver who's unhappy because normally the tour guide is this experienced tour guide that she really likes and is really good at his job, but he gets replaced last minute by like a brand new tour guide who is way out of her depth in terms of like wrangling people and dealing with all these problems and stuff like that. So overall, it's kind of like, that's the setup.
Right.
And then pretty early in the book, we get introduced to, there's like a heavier plot element, a more, how would I say, propulsive plot element that kind of keeps things going and changes the course of the book a little bit. And I think that's what I like a lot about Daryl Gregory's books in general. I think he does a good job of like, his books are very character driven and kind of, they read a little bit like literary fiction where you're like, I mean, there's not like a heist happening, but there's like whatever. But then his books also do a good job of having that kind of element in it, something that does give it more propulsive energy, I think, and keeps the plot moving along a little bit more than sometimes like I like Catcher in the Rye. I wouldn't say it's a plot heavy book. You know what I mean? It's not like he's trying to.
Whatever will he do next?
Yeah. How's he going to get this ring in the volcano? Like he's not on a quest per se.
Right.
And that's what Daryl Gregory does really well. I think he writes a book that I think would please someone who doesn't love, like a Lee Child book or something.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not plotless. It's not a wandering book. It's like a more, has more of a through line to it.
Right.
And that keeps you going and raises the stakes as the book goes.
Yeah.
So I thought this book did a great job of that. Overall, I liked it quite a bit. I would say there was some character stuff I didn't love, but it was because of, the classic thing of like, a thing I didn't like happened to a character I did like. And so, I'm putting on my like librarian hat and my reader hat. I'm like, well, what that means is he wrote a good character that I enjoyed. And, so I was mad at him for doing something bad to a character that I liked. But I have to admit, like, it is an effective narrative. You know what I mean? Like, a thing happened I wish didn't happen, but Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example like from a movie or something like, and a character, something happens to him and you're just like, couldn't you just let that guy live?
Yeah.
Would the world really be that bad?
Yeah. I know that I'm sure that if you gave me time, I could come up with something, but I'm also blanking.
Yeah, and it's just like, did we need to do that?
Yeah.
It's such a dumb example. All I can think of is the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You remember? And like
the shoes.
The shoe, yeah. And he puts that little squeaky shoe in the dip and just melts it. And I'm like, did we need to do that?
Yep.
Couldn't we have?
I mean, obviously, I immediately knew what you were going to reference.
I feel like that traumatized a generation because we're like.
It was so cute and innocent. It did nothing to anyone.
It couldn't have even been, he couldn't have found like, I don't know, an army boot, that looked threatening or something. It was like the cutest little pathetic little shoe trying to escape. And then he just like
whimpering.
puts it into, and you're just like, what a monster.
It's rough.
Can't wait for Bob Hoskins to kill your ass.
It's an effective way to make you hate someone.
It did. But you're just like, could have done without that. I'm going to do a fan edit of that movie. And all it is I take that out.
I like it.
That's it.
I'm here for that.
Yeah. Just drop in, who's a hateable cartoon character?
Scrappy-Doo.
Yeah. He drops in Scrappy-Doo. And we're all like, I mean, I didn't love it, but and it would have been better because Scrappy-Doo would be like, oh, why I oughta, let me at him or something. And you'd be like, yeah, that's fine. We don't need Scrappy-Doo. We have Scooby. We don't need Scrappy.
It's true.
A little annoying. Yeah, at least if he could have been a little obnoxious, you'd be like,
I can live with it easier.
That was a quick answer and a good one.
Thank you.
It was the right one. Anyway, that's When We Were Real by Daryl Gregory.
Excellent.
High recommendation.
Cool. As always, I'm not surprised. He's lovely.
He's a great guy.
All right. So, obviously, these are books that I've read since our last recording. And since our last recording, we had the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
So my first book is a holiday romance.
That's what it's called?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just letting you know.
I started writing it down. I was like,
romance.
Wow, that's a really generic title.
The book is called Season's Schemings.
Much better.
By Katie Bailey. And it is about a woman who, she's like a nutritionist and a chef. And she went on the baking competition with her fiance to help his career, even though it would kind of hurt hers because she's like a nutritionist. And it was like a Christmas cookie special. And he broke up with her during the competition. And so she's been like sent reeling because they were supposed to get married and they'd been dating for like a decade. And it turns out he was cheating on her. So she gets a new job with a hockey team, working with their team chef to build like personalized meals for the athletes that like fulfill their nutritional needs based on their very super active lifestyle. And circumstances happen and she ends up traveling with the team for a Vegas game and ends up talking with their star player who is from Canada and his visa just expired. And they decide to get Vegas married so that she can have a hot new hockey player husband to show up her fiance at Christmas. And he can get a visa and continue playing for the team.
That makes sense.
So it's like a marriage of convenience turned like holiday romance.
Okay.
Super fun. I listened to it on audio and I found myself making up excuses to do things that would allow me to listen to it. Right.
This laundry probably needs to get
done.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
This could be cleaner.
So that's my first one. Then I have a graphic novel.
Okay.
Why Ray Liotta Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I talked about maybe the first volume of this. I don't know if I talked about the whole thing or just briefly it was one of my options. But this is volume 9 and it's the end of the series. So now I've read the whole thing. So I was like, I'm going to bring it as an option and I can talk about the whole series if people are interested.
Okay.
Then I have Royal Gambit by Daniel O'Malley. This is the 4th book in the Shakay series. which is I'm obsessed with and absolutely love. If I tell you Stiletto, that should, this is that series.
Oh, okay.
So this is the most recent book. And I had to read it immediately as soon as it was released.
That's been quite a long stretch, right? Since the first book?
Yeah. He takes a few years to write a book, but they are long, worth the wait. They do tend to be fairly long.
Okay.
And worth the wait. And then I have The Chronicles of Ori by Harmonia Rosales. And this is a book of fictionalized. So it's like, you have like the Greek and the Roman myths, and you can kind of say, this is like West African mythology retold by an artist. So she has like this, her family is, descended from West Africa, and she grew up being told these myths by her grandmother. And when she became a mother and she's an artist, she decided she kind of reconnected with these like myths, legends, stories from her childhood. So she wrote this book that kind of retells them and also includes a bunch of her paintings, which are done in the style of like a lot of those old European classic paintings, large scale of like big mythological events, that kind of thing. And those are included in the book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So these are like, I'm trying to think of like examples, like the Trojan horse story or like.
Yeah. Or like the story
Norse
of
mythology,
Zeus and how he defeated Kronos,
right.
And how the gods came to be and the creation of the earth and how humanity happened and like all of those kind of foundational stories that every culture has.
Right.
These are like the Yoruba, based on the Yoruba, which is like Nigeria, West African region.
I like that like there was a period of human history where someone was like, wait a minute, why does the sun come up every day? And then someone was like, well, let me tell you. And it was like, that seems dubious, but I guess no one has ever, told me a reason before. So.
Yeah, these are like literally the sense-making stories, like from when humans were young and trying to figure out like why things are and how they work and the meaning of, why should we care? And like it's our earliest storytelling. Like all cultures have them, and I always enjoy them.
It is interesting to hear like other cultures' version of that because you're just like, it's always so different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's so pretty odd. Yeah.
Yeah. And we hear so much about Greek and Roman mythology, and even to an extent, you get some Scandinavian, like Viking mythology, some of the Norse mythology stuff we're familiar with. But so often there are like creation myths and whole like storytelling traditions that we just don't know as well.
Yeah.
So I'm always excited when somebody makes an accessible form for me to like experience them.
Someone should do like a story off, like, all right, who has the best moon story? And just be like, everyone could get together and have like a extremely nerd March Madness of like folk.
Well, and what's so cool is
stories.
That there are so many commonalities in stories. Like every major culture has a great flood story.
Right.
Which either tells us that there was a ginormous flood that everyone was like trying to make sense of, which is probably true. Or there's something about us innately as humans that this is a thing that just happens with us.
Think of, yeah. Someone needs to make like a chart like that.
Yeah.
I remember if you go to, what's his name? John Irving's Wikipedia page, there is a hilarious chart of like themes he writes about a lot. And then it has his books and it's like, but some of the themes are like a bear attacks someone or wrestling. And then you're just like, wait, what? And then you see the column title is like a bear attacks someone. And you're like, I mean, how many books is that going to be? And it's like, oh, like 5 times this has happened. All right. Wow, these are some choices.
Yeah.
Well, I think I want to hear why Ray Liotta ended up.
Ray Liotta.
Yeah. Ray Liotta. How Ray Liotta ended up. Because I'd like to hear a little bit about like that whole series.
Okay. So I am not the greatest expert of like manga and manhwa and all of these like Korean and Japanese, Chinese, these Asian kind of graphic novel stuff. Like I'm far from an expert.
Sure.
But I understand that this is part of a greater tradition of stories where you have someone who is like part of quote unquote the real world or like our world who ends up transported into some other world.
A Spirited Away situation.
Sure. Yeah. And so this story it opens with a character who is in our world and she's like on a rooftop and someone pushes her off.
Mm.
And she wakes up and she is a character from one of her favorite books. And she happens...
This is sounding familiar. Yeah.
She happens to, because it's one of her favorite books, she knows that the character she is killed off, is murdered by her soon-to-be fiance early in the books. And she's like, I don't feel like I want to go along with that. Like,
what if not that?
So she uses her knowledge of the story to position herself to take over the role of the main character.
Nice.
By getting engaged to the Duke.
Nice.
And the series follows the consequences of that decision.
Okay.
And it takes some unexpected turns.
There's a cascading series of events.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a time travel story, maybe, where it's like, well, you did this thing, but then that changed these other things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And by her taking these steps, there is now a main character who was supposed to get engaged to the Duke, who has like nothing to do in the story. Like the Duke is already now engaged. And also you start to get this question. Like initially she was like, she approaches the Duke and she's basically like, something's going to happen that's bad for you. And I'll tell you what, if we can get engaged. And then as soon as my fiance gives up, like the fiance that was going to kill her, we can call it off and it'll be fine. Like she's just like, this will be my way of avoiding marriage to the guy who's going to kill me.
This is throwing me into a minor existential crisis because I'm like, maybe that happened to me. And so like someone's out there living the life I was supposed to live right now. And I'm just an extra character that is suddenly rendered extra.
Left without directionless. Well, this is a question that is resolved over the course of the story. And it turns out to be more complicated than you would expect.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So she does end up engaged to the Duke, and he ends up like genuinely falling in love with her. And this sends her into a bit of like, what have I done? Like, is he meant for this other person and I've ruined his life, like by stepping in. And there are shady characters, enemies in the background kind of moving against her, and things come to light that start to make her question if everything was as clear-cut as she thought. Like, did she just randomly show up in this character or did something more purposeful happen? And maybe it was even a manipulation of events. And I don't want to give spoilers, but it turns out that there's a lot more going on beneath the scene that involves like a witch and a curse. And it's only 9 volumes, and now everything's out. So I've been waiting like over several months to get them all released. It took me a while to read the whole series, but now you can get them all and just read them. And I think it would be relatively quick. It's a little bit silly, but it's a lot of fun. The drawings are really beautiful. It's got that like very anime girl aesthetic, big flowy dresses, hair that's like going crazy with curls and like flowing all over the place. Those big like Asian anime eyes. Like everything's very cute. It's a nice love story, and it has an ending that feels appropriate for everyone involved.
Okay.
So you don't end up feeling like, man, that poor...
Why'd you do that to that shoe?
Exactly, yeah. The way that things work out, you're like, actually, this is how it should go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like it.
I've been trying to get more into like manga because when I started reading graphic novels, I was following a lot of your lead, and you are like a superhero reader primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was reading a lot of like Planet Hulk and some of that kind of stuff, but I didn't really have like anyone to open a door for me to say like, this is a great place to start with manga. So I just kind of started experimenting with stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that this one was fun.
I think that's part of what's fun about manga too, is because like each volume is a pretty low time commitment.
Right.
And so you can kind of dip into something, read one volume and be like, am I intrigued enough to go on, or am I going to peace out and try something else?
Yeah.
And then you can try something else because there's like so many things.
So many.
Yeah.
And it also starts to give you a sense of, because I'm starting to understand that there are like traditions in these types of stories in the same way that like if you're a romance reader, you start to figure out like which kinds of romance, or if you're a thriller reader, like I really like spies, but not so much serial killers, you know?
Yeah.
So you start to identify, and there's a robust offering of like people who end up in alternate dimensions, or magical girls, or, you know, like, you know, whatever it is. I'm sure there are a bunch. I'm not familiar enough with it that I can like lay them out.
Yeah.
But I am starting to realize that there are types of story. So if you can find those, then it's much easier to find more.
Yeah. And I think there's something to that too, of like, that process of discovering those tropes kind of feels like another layer. And like also sometimes like the way the stories are told or the things that happen, it's just a little different from like what we're used to.
Yeah.
Or like something will happen that you're like, that probably wouldn't happen if this was being told from like an American author. I'm trying to think of like, I think it's a Korean movie called The Wailing. And I think it's kind of like a zombie movie. Somewhere in the middle of the movie, it kind of erupts into a pretty comedic martial arts fight.
Okay.
That is like totally unexpected. And it was sort of weird. And I was watching it and I was just like, I guess this is just a thing that I don't, that I'm guessing if someone in Korea watched this, they would understand what's going on right now and be like, oh yeah, this is the part where that happens.
Right.
But I was like, what the hell is going on? Right? Yeah. I was like, this movie turned on a dime and then it turns back, and I just wasn't used to it. But I think there's something fun in the novelty of that.
Yeah.
Like you can have a novel experience. It's a book.
Wow.
But you can have a novel experience even though it's based in like well-worn effective tropes.
Yeah.
Because they're new.
It's like when you introduce someone to your favorite movie and they've never seen it, don't even really know about it. It's like they're having that particular brand of fun for the first time.
Yeah.
And there's something like special about that first kind of fun.
Yeah, my wife and I are watching The Simpsons. She's never seen it, like any of it.
Wow.
So she absorbed some of it, through osmosis or whatever.
Popular culture, you can't avoid it.
Yeah. So but it is fun because it's like unlocking this whole, it was a project we started because, it was something we started doing because like, that was such a core part of my childhood. And like, there are episodes, she's like, how many times have you seen The Simpsons? And I'm like, well, there are some episodes I have not really seen that many times. There are others I've probably seen 25 times. And like, so like, so often we'll be doing something and I'm like, this is like that episode of The Simpsons. But I'm like, I can't say that because I don't want to explain the whole thing or whatever. So I'm just like, oh. So we started watching it and it is fun because it's like unlocking a thing for her that's like new and different. And she's enjoying it. I'm not like
forcing her,
marching her through The Simpsons. She does like watching it. So it's good.
Yeah.
But
I just use the image of the newspaper, Old Man Yells at Cloud.
Yep.
With Abe shaking his fist at a cloud.
Yeah.
I use that regularly in my text conversations.
It is a pretty perfect encapsulation of a certain kind of thing that you see every so often.
Kind of outrage, a very specific lane of outrage.
Yeah.
And when I'm in that lane, I can recognize it. And I always said that. I'm like, I realize that I'm Old Man Yells at Cloud right now, but still.
I would say I use it 50-50 to complain about others and to identify exactly what I'm doing. Like, I am aware that when I'm complaining about the stupid tablet screen in my car, that I'm an old man yelling at clouds.
Right.
You know, I get it, but you just got to let me do it sometimes. Mm-hmm.
It's still going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'll name it. I know I'm doing it.
All right. So I would like you to talk about, because I know you love it, Absolute Batman.
Absolute Batman.
Because I know you're a Batman guy. Like, if you couldn't be a Spider-Man guy,
yeah,
you'd be a Batman guy.
Yeah, that's probably my second choice. Especially because there are just so many eras of Batman that I've enjoyed. There are other characters that I probably think are more fun, but I'm thinking about like a Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. But boy, that's some hit or miss stuff.
Right.
You know, and like he'll go 12 years and you're just like, oh boy.
Right.
And then someone will do it anyway. Absolute Batman was my favorite of the three. Absolute series that I read of, you know, the DC Holy Trinity of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. So the biggest difference is in his origin. And I won't spoil everything, but like he's not a billionaire. He's middle class. Dad was a teacher. Mom is involved in politics somehow, or like city government or something. So, you know, they're not like rich people.
Right.
I guess maybe the biggest critique I have about it is like, it doesn't have super substantive difference as far as him being Batman.
Okay.
Because he's like very smart and very capable. And so, you know, he's still able to get access to a giant earth mover machine that he turns into a Batmobile.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, okay, so he didn't just walk in and buy it, but he still has it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, but at the same time, like, I don't know, the book, I think what I liked about it is they made him not a billionaire, and I kind of understand why. Like, I think that's probably one of the most common critiques of Batman in general is like, couldn't he do more with his billions than punching out clowns? And I'm like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm like, you know, if we're critiquing Bruce Wayne, a fictional billionaire who dresses up as a bat and beats people up, the way we should be critiquing an actual person who is doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the best way to go about this. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's like
the argument is still true, but possibly more useful elsewhere.
Yeah, or like maybe I feel like the point people are making is correct and a little boring. I'm like, I don't want to read a comic book about him taking a giant novelty check, to a shelter. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it, but it's not that
right.
It's not compelling,
right?
As a
it's
story.
Not as exciting as fighting the Joker.
No, yeah. You're like, I mean, I don't know. I guess if someone wanted to try writing philanthropy comics, and you know, it's like send copies to billionaires, and you know,
although
give them
I think
some
there's
ideas.
room for the argument, why not both?
Yeah,
why not have philanthropist Bruce Wayne fighting crime in the nighttime?
And you know, I think that's like the big thing for me is like a big, when I put on my like comic book nerd hat and I'm like, actually, because they do quite a bit of that in the comics and even in some of the movies. In the horrid Batman and Robin movie, most people forget that he's going to a like telescope observatory opening that, you know, he paid for. And they paid to renovate this big building and, you know, like refurbish like an old rundown thing. And they made an observatory so that they can, you know, do science stuff. And that doesn't really benefit his war on crime or whatever. You know, so like, and that happens a lot in the comics. Like he's going to a gala that benefits XYZ, you know, and he's doing these things. So I think that's for me where I tire of that argument a little bit, because I'm like, they do that in the comics, but you know, that's not what anyone talks about, because that's not the exciting part of the story.
Right.
That's the part of the story he goes to and he has to almost gets, you know, his secret identity revealed or something. That's kind of how that usually, anyway. However, despite all that, okay, and I should also say, like, this book is not like soapboxing about the morality of money or anything like that. It really is not. And I like that because, sometimes comics do that and sometimes they don't, and it's more or less effective. And this comic for me was just a little more bonkers.
Okay.
And that's what I liked about it.
I was going to say, I'm down for bonkers.
Yeah, he has there's a couple of scenes where he's fighting, with these, they're generic goons. And his bat symbol on his chest is actually, he pulls a thing out of his bat belt. It's like a little handle that extends. And it turns out the symbol on his chest is actually a giant battle axe. Yeah, it's things like that, or at one point they're in a building or what they think is a building that's actually a giant vehicle that just starts driving away and careening down the Gotham streets, and wacky stuff is happening in this book. So I think it's what's fun about it is it's a little bit different. It's a little bit new take on the origin, but it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of bad guy plot that's in the book is very much like the Purge kind of energy happening. Yeah. So it's kind of stupid, but ultimately pretty fun. And so, yeah, I think I just enjoyed it because it's a good ride, and it's things are happening that I'm well, I did not expect that to happen. I know they've done that on various things, with his bat symbol on his chest, but I have never seen it turn into a battle axe. That seems wildly impractical, and I don't fully understand it, but I love it. Also, the artist, Nick Dragotta, I think has done something cool, which is I think it's pretty hard to have a unique take on Batman that, isn't unique for the sake of uniqueness, just to be it's got to be something different. Because it's just been done so much, for approaching 100 years. And you're what do you do?
Yeah.
But he actually, I think his Batman it's cartoony while also being solid. You can feel the impacts in the book, and he does a great job. And I think he did the impossible by making a satisfying new version of Batman that's not so new that you hate it, but it's not so standard either.
Right.
So, and there's a lot to the Absolute series. What they kind of have done is reorient the origins a little bit. So yeah, he's not rich. Most of his rogues gallery is actually, they were all childhood friends and are still friends to this day. So a lot of the, the Riddler, he's buddies with him, and he's super smart and kind of obnoxious, but they're not pitted against each other. They've known each other. They're friends, and they help each other out here and there and stuff like that. And there's
So are they villains?
No.
Oh.
No, they're I think the Riddler just works for a tech company. Killer Croc is not a crocodile man and runs a boxing gym, they're kind of normal people. Or at least so far in the book. I don't know if it may take a turn or something, but it's a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the origin of his parents dying is a little different.
Right. Different enough that it's worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not it's, they weren't seeing The Mask of Zorro. They were seeing some other movie,
They weren't in the alley. They were in the parking lot out front.
Yeah, yeah. And you're wow. It wasn't her pearls that fell in the gutter. It was a box of popcorn from the movie, and you're okay.
Right.
Wow. It changes everything. So, I think that's the thing. I think Absolute Batman had a very good mix of changing the game, but not trying to change the game so much that it was well, whatever's different is better.
Right.
It's well, it should be things that serve the story or have story potential. And I think they did a good job.
Right. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, Absolute Batman,
nice.
Volume 1. Ooh, okay. I think I want to hear about, think I want to hear about Royal Gambit.
All right.
I was very torn, but...
Well, that's okay, because I will talk about Daniel O'Malley anytime.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah. So this is the 4th book in the Chiquet series.
Is it the final or is it not the final?
I hope not.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know, he's never announced any plans or said like, there's no like, he will return, the Chiquet will return in Doomsday. Like,
right.
Nothing like that. So I'm hoping that there will be more. I get the impression that he, like the way he left things, it feels like he has intentions for the main character. So that's great. So the Chiquet series, you could theoretically read out of order and still make sense of everything. I think that reading them in order is probably a bit better, just because the situation does build and change over the course of the books. But the Chiquet is a department in the government in the United Kingdom, so under British government, super secret. Nobody talks about it, and it is entirely focusing on the occult. So anything that is like supernatural, things that feel like magic or are inexplainable, they fall under the purview of the Chiquet. And if you are born with something or it manifests later in life where all of a sudden you have some weird supernatural ability, and it ranges from, there's a guy who can turn into a tree. There are people who like have just gaps, like their skull is in 4 layers when they float above each other and there's a little gap, like any weird thing you can imagine, he manages to work it in.
Okay.
There's a scene in this book where one of the characters just turns into a stegosaurus and starts rampaging through the office.
So a little X-Men-y that way.
Yeah.
Where it's like you got those background characters that you're like, there's that kid in X-Men 2 who's like changing the channels by blinking his eyes.
Exactly.
And I'm like, it's kind of a useless power, but I mean, it's kind of fun.
And there are people who have useless powers, and when your useless powers like manifest, you get basically taken in by the Chiquet. They might convince your parents that you had died. They might come up with some other story. You have some weird illness and you have to live in this facility. Who knows? Like they've made a whole system for like pulling people out of their lives. But mostly when you are discovered, you get pulled out of your life and brought into the Chiquet. And you either work with them as some kind of an agent if you have a useful ability, or if you just, have purple skin and cry diamonds, then you work in the office.
We'll have you run the copier, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And listen to cheerful music.
Exactly. So they have any number of abilities. And the main character of this book is Lady Mondegreen. She was born into an aristocratic but poor family, and she manifested the ability to basically, she can break your bones with a touch. So like she can vibrate them or, choose one and like send her ability into your body and snap your femur.
Okay.
Just because she has a need to.
Right.
So once this was discovered, normally she would have been pulled away from her family and brought into the Chiquet, but they saw an opportunity, since she's part of an aristocratic family, where she could be raised, next to the crown princess and, be like nestled into the middle of the royal family. And so she could now naturally be around them, act as security, keep an eye out for like weird people who might be in their vicinity. So she's kind of grown up around the royal family.
Okay.
Her parents who were in like financial straits when she was born, were paid handsomely to like, they don't know that she's supernatural, but they do know that they kind of brought her closer to the royal family. Her family are basically pills. They're terrible. But they got a lot of money in exchange for, their daughter being
service of
service to the country.
Okay.
So now she's like in her 20s.
Okay. Remind me, like the girl's parents, like does everyone know that magic is in this world?
No.
There's this okay.
No, pretty much nobody knows unless you are magical.
Right.
You know, pretty much no one knows. The king knows. Like when you're crowned king or queen, they bring you in and they're like, there's this whole department. It's a thing.
That would be a lot.
If they think that you can psychologically handle it. So they do a lot of assessments. There are some people who have been ruling who they did not tell about the Shakei because they thought that they could not handle that break in reality.
Flip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the king's late wife, she did not know about it.
Okay.
So they're very selective, but generally you are brought in.
Okay.
So Lady Mondegreen has been basically building her career in the Shakei. She, even though she attends royal events and she's friends with the princess, like she's been really concentrating on building her career with the Shakei. But one day, the crown prince, who is like next in line for the throne, drops dead in the library. And they're not sure why. And when they do, they have there's this whole other thing with the grafters who are like super, able to do like medical stuff. And so she basically does an autopsy in the library, leaves no trace, seals it up. You can't tell she did anything. But when she opens up his skull, there is a 3-inch granite cube in the middle of his brain.
Okay.
And they're like, well, that's what killed him.
Well,
but we don't know how it happened.
I'm going to make a guess here.
Yeah. So they know that for some reason, at some point, this happened, but they don't know, was it his, did he have some ability that manifested and, that killed him?
Right.
Did somebody look through the window and focus at him and zap a cube into his brain? They have no idea how it happened, but they definitely need to figure it out because they're obviously someone is out there, potentially, if it wasn't his ability, who can kill people from a distance at will.
By putting a cube in their brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since now the crown prince is dead, that means that her friend, Princess Louise, is now next in line for the throne. And so Lady Mondegreen is brought in as a lady in waiting. And that is interfering with her career. It's interfering with her own personal choices for how she would like to live her life.
Right.
Her friend doesn't know about the Shakei, so she just knows that she was allowed to choose her ladies in waiting, except for this one, which she was told.
Okay.
She will be one of your ladies in waiting.
She might just assume
So she's like, are you sleeping with my father? Is basically her thing. How dare you? And so it's providing tensions in her friendships, and they also are having an impossible time figuring out, how this was done, how it happened. And so there's a heavy core of mystery at the center of all of these books, mixed in with a lot of outlandish supernatural stuff, some action, some interpersonal relationship-y stuff, and a lot of humor. He's definitely writing this with a little bit of a wink and a smile. When one of the characters turns into a rampaging stegosaurus in the middle of an office building. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And lesser authors are hands. You would be okay, come on, man.
Yeah.
But he has such a light touch and he's so good at the world building and at the maintaining the gravitas and the core story that he can be ridiculous. And it just makes it fun. Instead of making it stupid, it makes it fun. So it was delightful. I read it in 3 days, even though it's 400 or 500 pages. It's great. I've never been disappointed with one of his books.
I know you're a big fan.
He's great.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. First book is The Rook, if you're looking to start at the beginning.
And could you read these books kind of on their own? I mean,
they're
I know you'd want to start
linked,
with the first,
and they definitely are moving in a direction, which is why I think it makes sense to read them in order.
Yeah.
I did not read them in order. I read the second book, then the first.
Oh, okay.
Then the third and the fourth.
Okay.
And it was fine.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
But the further they go, the more I see a trajectory happening.
Okay.
When I read the second book, there was only the first and second book.
Right.
Now that there are 4, I can see that he's moving in a direction.
Okay.
So I would, even more now than before, say definitely don't read this book before you've read book 3.
Okay. I see. It becomes more important.
Yeah. The further you go, the more confusing it's going to be if you haven't read the earlier books.
And do you feel like, because sometimes with these books and then they're in a series, but there's like time in between.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like they're connected, but not so much that like it's been a couple years? I'd probably be okay.
Because it does take him a while to write them. And I'm always like, am I going to remember what's going on? And I'm sure I've forgotten things. But if there's something important for me to know, he embeds it in the story in a way that like I'm caught back up.
Right.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
But also like he doesn't retell the third book in book 4.
Okay.
So that I feel like I could go back and read book 3 or book 2 or whatever and have just as good a time because there will have been things I've forgotten.
Right.
And so it will be fresh and entertaining. But I still know I remember enough and he gives me enough that I can read book 4 without having reread the whole series and still not be confused.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect situation,
yeah.
I think.
And he's got such a good sense of humor. At some point, they did a mini series of The Rook for TV. And it was, I can see that it was hard, that they struggled with how to adapt it to the screen. But I enjoyed the mini series and hoped for more, but I guess it didn't do well. And so they're not going to do another one, which I find very disappointing.
Yeah.
But at least I have the books.
There are always things like that I'm like, this seems like it would be perfect. Like, I've always thought Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, always sort of mystified that hasn't been a more successful.
You need the right person. You need like your Peter Jackson to the Lord of the Rings, that person who is like the right combination of understanding the source material and having the ability to translate it.
I always thought that would be a good like Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg project.
Oh,
I feel like that would be right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But
I don't know who I would give this to because there's a lot of like, there's a ton of humor, but there's also an element of the grotesque.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, suspense and adrenaline. I don't know. I don't know who's the right person, but the right person could definitely turn this into a blockbuster show.
Yeah.
It would be
so
fun.
Seems like it's all there, like you just have to figure out how to make it work somehow.
It is a delightful series and it's like universally critically acclaimed. Like every book he releases wins awards, is very popular. He's got like a 4.8 on Goodreads for all of his books.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're just so entertaining. They're so much fun.
I always think of like 3.6-ish and above. I'm like, okay, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a high average and I think it's appropriate. I have never walked away feeling like I had hoped for more.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I didn't expect the Stegosaurus. That was a good time.
You've done it again.
Yeah. That whole scene where she had to break her own hand into like smithereens. Did not see that coming.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun. The tree guy. Wow.
I feel like this is like you talking to him at a book signing or something.
Loved the tree guy. I
didn't expect that. The tree guy. Wow.
And like he had actually mattered that he could turn into a tree. Like that's so cool.
Somehow that became important.
Yep. Great. Love it.
All right. So I talked about When We Were Real by Daryl Gregory. I didn't realize how hard that is to say out loud until
When we were real.
Yeah.
It's
when
a lot of
wheel.
WR.
Yep. And then Absolute Batman. Ones I didn't talk about, so I'll just cover briefly. Absolute Wonder Woman Volume 1. I'll be honest, this was the least favorite of the 3 that I read. It's not bad, though. I think there are 2 things about it that bothered me in particular that me, old man yelling at clouds. This is like, one was very early. There's a shot of Wonder Woman and she's wearing this armor and she has like this big sword. It's kind of your classic manga giant sword.
Okay. So like bigger than a broadsword, like
way
giant.
bigger. Yeah. Like bigger than a person.
Okay.
And it was one of the opening images and it felt very much like a ripoff of Berserk to me. Like it looked very Berserk. And the thing about that, because I was like, what's the difference to me between an homage and a ripoff? And I think my decision, my gut emotional decision was like, I think if something small does something that we're familiar from something big, that's an homage. And when something big does something from something smaller, it's a ripoff. Which then kind of put me into this whole rabbit hole of thinking like, is Berserk bigger or smaller than Wonder Woman? And I was like, well, I think in general, in the United States, Wonder Woman is much bigger than Berserk. Is this specific Wonder Woman title bigger or smaller than Berserk? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like, or in comics specific. Anyway.
Yeah.
It turned me off though, because it's like an early image, a very striking image in the book that I felt was like, it was too much. If it had been one or the other, the sword or the armor, I think I would have been like, eh. But both together, I was like, oh man, like, I don't know. Anyway, the other big thing is, so the main difference is kind of based on her origin, which is instead of being on an island of women or whatever, she's raised by her mother in hell. And so her mother is in hell, and she's not her biological mother. She's some lady who was banished to hell. And at some point, one of the gods drops off a baby and is like, here you go, here's a baby. And the lady's like, why is a baby in hell? And he's like, doesn't matter, like, not my problem, kind of, and, drops off this baby. So, and then her mom is like a witch and teaches her a lot of magic and other things, and so
she's not an Amazon.
She is an Amazon.
Oh, okay.
She's the last Amazon. And something happens. My recollection is basically like one of the gods gets into some kind of conflict with the Amazons, wipes them out, and not only wipes them out, but makes it impossible for anyone to even say the word Amazon. So it's represented in the comic by when someone's saying it, it's like scratched out with ink, so it's like their legacy is gone and they're gone and whatever, except Wonder Woman, Diana, the baby, is the last Amazon. For some reason, I guess this god was like, I can wipe out a whole people and destroy their legacy. Killing a baby is too far. I don't know. It's like one of those weird Greek myths, right? Where you're like, that's an odd line, but okay. So then she's raised in hell by this witch, basically, and comes to be very much like the Wonder Woman we know, but maybe with a little bit harder edged. Although she's very kind in general, and maybe harder edged isn't the right way. Maybe she feels more removed to me, more like a god than like a human.
Okay.
And doesn't seem to necessarily, some iterations of Wonder Woman, I think, are more human and some are more like different. And I think this is much more on the different side.
Okay.
The other thing that I think I didn't enjoy about this book very much that I don't think is a problem for most readers is it's got a lot of magic in it. And I don't tend to like narratives that have a lot of magic in it, just because I usually feel like a lot of books with magic in it, the answer to every problem is a more magic or a different kind of magic. And that gets old for me because I'm just like, well, how the hell would I know that? I don't know. Or I don't like, when they go and it's like they're in an old library that has a bunch of books about how to do magic that for some reason no one cares about. Like, this always frustrates me with Harry Potter. I'm like, you guys are going to a school and there's a library here full of magic spells that you could do anything. Like, there's probably a spell here that could literally do anything. And you're just like,
boring.
Yeah, like, I'm like, that, no, come on. You can find something that's like, I can fly now. I'm invulnerable. Something, and I'm like, why wouldn't you, like, I don't know, browse around? Maybe read a page a day, and by the end of the year, you'll have 365 new abilities.
No, but by the end of the year, you have Hermione Granger.
Yeah, right. I'm like, Hermione Granger should just be some kind of super witch, man. Like, anyway, So I generally don't enjoy stories that are based in magic and have a lot of magic involvement. And that is where this goes. So I think it will be to a lot of people's taste and it will be something they enjoy. I don't think the book is bad at all. I just think it's a miss for me personally. Okay. But that's that's talking about the book for me, not talking about the book as I think it would be received by the wider world who's not like, I hate magic.
Right. You're
I
not
don't believe
saying,
in magic. There's no
I
magic
didn't
in
like
this world.
It, don't read it.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me, but it might be for you.
Yeah, if you do like that. And also like I think if you like a character who's does come off as more of a godlike character as opposed to a more vulnerable human character, you might like this. This might be to your taste.
Okay.
Then the other one was Absolute Superman Volume 1, Last Dust of Krypton, which I was very torn on because there were elements of it I liked and elements I really disliked.
Okay.
I think this one, so his origin is very similar to the sort of original Superman origin. I think the big difference is his family on Krypton. He leaves Krypton at a much later age. He's probably like a preteen or something.
Okay.
So he's aware of the world and what's going on.
And who he is.
Yes. And like he arrives on Earth, he's not like, wait, what? I can fly? You know what I mean? He's like aware. And his parents are like farmers and Krypton has a very rigid caste system. So, there's stuff with that. I think and so he arrives on Earth, and then he's trying to do good, but it's a little bit different. I think the thing that I liked about it was, there's like stuff happening. There's a plot developing, which I like. But this one was probably of the Absolute series, the one that I found trying to be the cutest with the sort of relaunch of something. I'll give you an example. Lois Lane is not a reporter. She's like a government agent of some kind, like a Navy SEAL sort of thing. But, like who's the Navy SEAL to Navy SEALs to Navy SEALs, whatever. Super secret government operative, whatever. And there's a scene in it. So a big element of the story is like they're using an AI to do a lot of stuff. The government is, and like their after action reports, they're like an AI basically writes them all the time and stuff. And so she goes in at one point and she's had this experience meeting Superman. And so she's sort of antagonistic with Superman because they're trying to like bring him in or whatever. You know how they're always like, he's an alien, so whatever. And so then she goes back to the home base or whatever and is like, the AI keeps like messing with my stuff, so I'm going to write my own report. And her boss is like, as I live and breathe, Lois Lane is going to write a report. You hate writing reports. You yelled at me for 45 minutes because I tried to get you to fill out 1 page of paperwork. And now you're going to write a report, and it's like, we get it. Like, I get it. It's cute. In our world, she's a reporter. And in this world, she hates writing, and it just felt a little cutesy for me.
Right.
And it doesn't add anything to the story, especially because she sits down and writes the report and is like, I actually really like this, and I was like, piss off, like, shut up.
Stand up, walk away, shut the door.
Yeah. Like, I can't like dismissively wave into just the air while I'm reading a comic, but I would if that did something.
I mean, you actually can.
I guess I can.
I do that. But I generally am reading in a room by myself.
Yeah. I would be on the couch next to my wife and she'd be like, what are you doing? Why do you think that does something? I'm like, get away from me. So, I mean, I think Absolute Superman is the one I'm most like middle on, where I feel like I would probably give it another volume to see like, where's it going? Does it develop a little bit more? But also I'm like, if the current trajectory continues, I might peace out on that one first.
Okay.
I don't know. I disliked Wonder Woman Volume 1 more, but I also would give that another chance and feel like that has it has more potential than Superman to like go a way I would like.
Okay.
Where Superman, I'm like, unless it takes kind of a turn, I think this might not be for me.
Okay.
But it's a decent Superman book. I think there are people who would like it. I think when you have these characters like Superman that are so old, they do need an update every so often.
Yeah.
And so, it's like a useful utilitarian update of the character, but it's not something that like blows my mind or whatever.
Okay. All right. For me, I talked about why Ray Liotta ended up at the Duke's Mansion, the series, and Royal Gambit. I talked a little bit about Season Schemings, which was my holiday romance about the nutritionist who ends up in a green card marriage with a hockey player.
The book that is not called Holiday Romance.
Right. It just is a holiday romance.
It's like, wow, they really put a lot of burn the midnight oil coming out of that one.
The thing that I like about the romances that get released around Christmas is that they feel very like they are written and intended to be read in with a certain mood in mind, usually.
Mm.
So this one is like, it's like, we're going to give you a lot of Christmas spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be light. It's going to be fluffy. It's going to be fun. That is not universally true, but mostly for holiday romances, that is the vibe that you get.
I see.
And this kind of fit into that for me. Like, she's on a Christmas baking show and her fiance breaks up with her and she dumps frosting over his head.
Mm.
And like, because she got him, like, her gift to him was he wants to start like a bakery business. And so she got him some consultancy appointments. And that's who he ends up cheating with, is like the business consultant.
Okay.
He's like a real piece of work, like real jerk. He's very not nice to her. And so it is especially fun to see her like get this job doing what she likes, which is nutrition stuff for a major NHL team. Well, it's not the NHL, but it's like this world's version of the NHL.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And they're like, let's get on FaceWave and
exactly.
Okay.
We can't use a trademark thing, but it's essentially. And so there's this star player, and he has a need for a green card, and she, since she grew up with her ex-fiance, and their families are very close, her mom arranges for them to celebrate Christmas together. And so she's faced with going and seeing her ex and his new, at Christmas.
I think I would just not go.
Yeah.
That would be my plan.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, Mom, I'm not going to go to that.
Yeah. Well, she ends up with it turns out that like this hockey player is also her ex's favorite hockey player.
Maybe then I would go.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was like, okay, if that happened to me and then it was like, and now I'm dating the cover model from the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, I'd be like, maybe I will show up to Christmas.
Well, and they really
depends how bitter I am.
They play it for maximum effect because like they really make the ex a jerk. He's really a loser and a jerk, and like everyone can see it, and more she's able to see it as well. And her new husband, like her green card husband, he really plays it up, like, and immediately dislikes the ex, like sees him for the sleazoid he is, and so like is able to put a little extra oomph into the performance.
So he's even having a little extra fun.
Just
being like, you know what? We could stick it to a jerk. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
An activity.
And it's fun for us to watch. And, they have a lot of good chemistry. It is a closed door romance. So anybody who doesn't want super spicy or who doesn't want super spicy around the holidays, you can, like, this one is, there are adult happenings, but they don't happen on the page.
Gotcha.
So, and it's funny and it's charming and it's part of a larger series. Like she writes hockey romances, and then this is a series of like specifically Christmas hockey romances.
Oh, okay.
So there are more of them. And like I said, I listened to it on audio. You can get the ebook or the audio ebook on Hoopla right now. So if you wanted to read it, I had a lot of fun with it. It was it hit in the right zone for what I was going for at the time, which was, it's a busy time of year. It can be a bit stressful. So it was like light and fun and exactly what I wanted.
I like what you're saying too about, like there are times you watch a Christmas movie, but you're like, sometimes I want a Christmas movie to be like almost over the top Christmas. You know what I mean? Like I want, Christmas themed things to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, if they're going to go do, I don't know, I want them to have, if they're going to have a dialogue moment, like, can we have this at a Christmas tree shopping area? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just things like that.
Yeah.
Like when you watch A Christmas Story and you're like, it's always winter in this movie.
Right.
Everyone's freezing. There's like Christmas lights all over the place. It's like, it's definitely Christmas happening.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you watch like, even
It's a
like
Wonderful Life.
Yeah. You're like,
and it's really only Christmassy at the end.
Yeah. You're like,
still
more of a
masterpiece.
winter movie.
It's a masterpiece and I love it, but it's only Christmassy at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, like the classic argument about Die Hard. And you're like, well, I mean, we can argue about whether or not it's a Christmas movie, but it's not like a cramming Christmas in your face movie.
Can I make my argument for why I think that this argument is dead, that it's not a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
So in order for it to count as a Christmas movie, A, Christmas things must happen. B, Christmas must be a central, like it must be of importance to the story. And I argue that it is, because the only way that they would have this building would have the C-suite, executives in it, but the rest of the building is empty, is at a holiday party.
Yeah.
The only reason that John McClane is in the building is because he is visiting for Christmas.
Yeah.
So Christmas brings all of these people together. It couldn't happen at another time of the year because the terrorists would not have attacked it at a time when the building was full. It's only this empty and empty of the right people at Christmas for a Christmas party.
I agree. I think there's also maybe a lost element of the movie that like would have made more sense at the time of its release, but now is a little lost on us, which is I think at that time, like there's the scene early on where it's like John McClane's getting off the plane and he has a gun.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. Very different time.
It's like, it's okay, I'm a cop. As if like today, if some guy was getting off a plane and he had a gun and he's like, it's okay, I'm a cop. And I'm like, you mean like an air marshal or like a New York City beat cop?
Because one's okay and the other makes me nervous.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, how did you get on? Anyway, I feel like a lost element of the movie is like there's kind of a joke in the idea of like he's in LA and LA is crazy, and like LA is different from New York. And, LA, this is what Christmas is like. Like it's not snowy and, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of hippies out here and they're just all more relaxed and they're all, like.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's been a, move away from that vibe in the last several decades of like LA, huh? That's whatever. Maybe it's more like today the version of that would be like someone goes to like Portland, Oregon or something, and they're like, they're wacky out there. You know what I mean? And like, this is their idea of what Christmas looks like. I don't know. But so sometimes I think that was like a joke that was baked into it that you would understand seeing that movie in 1980, whatever, that today just doesn't read. Yeah. Because it's like, we don't think of that being.
Right. And I'm old enough to remember when you could meet people at the gate,
Yeah. Oh, me
at
too.
the airport. So, maybe that's why it is very much not a question for me.
Yeah.
But that would be my argument for why it is absolutely a Christmas movie. It cannot take place at another time of year.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that was a whole thing. And then my fourth book was The Chronicles of Ori by Harmonia Rosales, which I picked up because I find mythology fascinating. I always have. When I was young and I discovered Greek mythology, I got way into it. And that's never stopped. Like I moved on to like Norse mythology, and like whenever I can find some new mythological tradition, I'm always immediately interested. So when I saw that this was coming out, and it was, because a lot of mythology, you can find stuff about it, but it ends up being very like academic. You get these academic treatments of like, here's the importance of this, whole oral tradition to this culture.
Right.
And I'm looking for stories,
right.
I want
to
the
read
stories.
the story, yeah.
And so this is like a retelling, like a personal retelling of traditional African myths and legends and stories, and told by someone who grew up with them and who wants to pass them on to her kids. And also she is an artist, and this book is filled with like some really beautiful full page, full color illustrations of her paintings, of events in the stories. It's larger than your normal hardcover, so you actually get some good space on the page to look at the paintings, and they really add to the experience of reading it. So for anyone who enjoys mythology or that kind, like a good creation myth, or like any of that stuff, those kinds of stories that make you imagine sitting around a fire before there was electricity, and like the elders like sending everyone to like another world with their tale, like it's got that's the vibe here.
I like it.
Yeah. So that was my 4.
Boom.
Yeah.
We did it. 8 books.
Woohoo.
Well,
the first 8 of the year.
Yeah. Welcome to 2026, everybody.
It's a whole new year.
Hopefully it's going better for you than 2025 was, regardless of whether you had a great or not great 2025.
True. Better is always more. More is always better. I don't know.
Yeah. Why not?
There's something there.
We need to like come up with a thing to do at the end. What's the opposite of a joke? Like a sad headline or something? No, that's not a good way to end this.
It's a veto.
I thought of a terrible way to end this podcast.
Well, I come up with the joke, so you come up with an outro.
Okay, I'll think of something.
Yeah.
Something that's...
And if any of our genius listeners have an idea, you can let us know.
What's the opposite of a joke, but not leaving you feeling the opposite of a way a joke makes you feel?
Right. Well, I don't know. They may hate the joke.
They might, yeah.
So they might be like, actually, the opposite of the joke would be exactly what I would hope for.
Something funny would be the opposite of a joke. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.